Hello, everyone. My name is Gil Penalosa, and I am the creator and host of this bi-weekly webinar, Cities for Everyone. I originally am from Bogota, Colombia, and I've been living in Toronto, Canada for the last 25 years. And about 18 years ago, I created a nonprofit 880 Cities. Also, more recently, Cities for Everyone. And I've been fortunate to have worked in over 350 cities, and I hope to work in many others, sharing and learning. And as a way of giving back, I created this webinar, hoping that the hundreds and hundreds of people that every other week connect will become passionate advocates on any topic related to cities, creating equitable, sustainable, and playful cities. Today, a fascinating topic, bicycling for everyone. We have two amazing guests. Marianne Weinreich is from Copenhagen, and she's been working for consultancy companies. Now she has her own company. She's worked in many different countries. And also we have Sílvia Casorrán. She is from Barcelona. She's an advocate. She also works now with the city of Barcelona, and she's the Secretary General of the Network of Cycling Cities in Spain. Marianne and Sílvia, thank you very much. Please tell us about cycling for everyone.
Sílvia and Marianne, welcome.
Hello.
I'm so glad that both of you had accepted. As you have seen people signing up on the chat, it's amazing. We have people from all over the world. We have many across Canada and the US, but also we have in Slovakia, we have in Greece, we have in Kenya, we have in South Africa, in Chile, in Mexico, all over the place. I'm so thankful, so grateful for the people that every other Tuesday. Barcelona and Copenhagen are two great cities. From the point of view of cycling, they are at a different level, which is very interesting because some people say, oh, I'm not Barcelona, oh, I'm not Copenhagen. No, this is not as copy and paste, but we can adapt and we can improve. I hope that everybody will get inspired. Keep in mind, participants, that the chat is closed during the presentation, but it will be reopened as soon as they finish. We are going to start with Sílvia, and then we're going to have Marianne. So I want to ask each one of you, please tell us, when you are starting the presentation, tell us a little bit about, or now, Sílvia, tell us, introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are.
Wow.
An amazing woman.
Hey, thank you, Gil, and thank you everyone for having me here. I would love to have you in Barcelona and cycling around a little bit, but well, who am I? That's a good question. I'm an environmental scientist, but I've been always working with sustainable mobility, and especially in the last years, focus at cycling in the metropolitan area of Barcelona and in Barcelona City as well. And I've been always advocating also for sustainable mobility from different places, from different entities. And right now I'm the General Secretary of the Spanish Cities Network for Cycling. We try to push for cycling at different levels, from the local level, with 150 cities. We are now in the association. And I'm a public servant in Barcelona metropolitan area. And as you can see, I'm always, for me, bike is the key for many of our problems in cities. So I'm really pushing for that from a professional and also from a social point of view. Is that enough, Jill?
Enough.
Okay.
She's an advocate. She's also a public servant. She's also a leader across the city. And Marianne, tell us a couple of things about yourself.
Yes. Hi, Gil and everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this. Yes, I'm Danish, working in Copenhagen. And I've been doing work with cycling policy and promotion for almost 25 years. I'm not an engineer or a traffic planner. I have a humanistic background. So my focus is on people and the barriers and the challenges and how we overcome them, and how to plan for people, basically. I'm now an independent consultant again in my own one-woman company, and I also chair an organization called Cycling Embassy of Denmark, which is an umbrella organization for private companies, cities like City of Copenhagen and other Danish cities, and NGOs, and we have that in common, that we all are advocates, we are all ambassadors for cycling, and we promote cycling whenever we can.
Okay, great introduction, both. And by the way, Sylvia, people like Karen, she loved your necklace, and maybe you're gonna have to tell us where to buy it. Okay, we're gonna start. The initial presentation is gonna be by Sylvia. As soon as Sylvia is finished, then Marianne is gonna present, and then we have a conversation.
Thank you, Gil. Well, this picture is just a few families from schools these are in one of the neighborhoods in Barcelona, that every Friday they go by bike to school. And well, they just try to defend the right to cycle in a safe way in all the streets in the city. And I'm a voluntary in this movement. You can see me to the right of the picture with the red coat. And that's one of the small things and very big things of my life that make me happy. And they really give you a lot of energy. My kids are now 18 and 19, so they don't need me anymore to cycle with them. But I really love to cycle with these kids every week. Well, I try to just use the 15 minutes that Gil gave me, but for me it's quite hard, because I really would like to tell you many things about Barcelona. First of all, I will give you a short introduction about Barcelona and its cycling potential, because I think we should keep this idea in mind. There's a huge potential in cities to cycle, not only in Copenhagen and not only in Barcelona, that we'll see we've got still a long way in front of us. Then we will go through the needs, the user needs. What do we need to cycle properly? I mean, to cycle, we just need a bike, but to cycle properly, we need probably many other elements that we will try to share here. And then the main challenges in Barcelona, in my opinion, that are still in front of us to become a 100% cycling city. Well, this is Barcelona. Is a very nice city from the top. This day, the sky is quite clear, so it's not polluted, but this is not always like that. Barcelona is a very compact city with a high density of population, because it's a small area with 1.7 million inhabitants. But of course, Barcelona, it's not isolated. Barcelona, it's in a metropolitan area where mobility do cares. So we need to look at the metropolitan area. We are 36 municipalities and twice the population of Barcelona. And this is exactly, the metropolitan area of Barcelona is exactly the size of the city of Madrid. So when we compare Barcelona and Madrid, we should compare Barcelona metropolitan area. I would like you to go through this. I don't know if you can see my mouse, to this image of 19th century, because it's where everything starts, in my opinion, no? When the city plan of Cerdà is developed then. And then the idea of the development of the city is citizens can really walk everywhere. There's a lot of greenery. And along the century, tramways started to arrive, and also cars and also bikes. But in the beginning of the plans, there were no tramways and no cars, of course. You can see this picture of Barcelona in the beginning of last century. People could really walk everywhere on the street. There were no traffic lights, no zebra paths. And I like to say people were still citizens and not just pedestrians. But along last century, in all of our cities in the world, the great invention that was the car arrived. And then it occupied all the space that was given to it. Even when I was at the 80s, when I was a child, I remember that the sidewalks were filled with cars. Okay, so what did we get when we started this century? We got many impacts, bad impacts and externalities that are still not included in the economy, because if they were, things would change. But we got, because of the traffic, we got air pollution, we got noise, we got crashes, we got an unfair use of space, we got climate emergency, we got lack of green, and we got a sedentary lifestyle. So when we want to become a livable city, we need to think of all these bad impacts that were coming from the traffic, from the motorized traffic, okay? Okay. This is what we got. So when we want to reach a livable city, that is something Barcelona is really looking for many years, we need to less car traffic. We need to get less car space for parking and for driving. Okay, what do we want? We want a city with more active mobility. We want place for to play, to sports, for greenery, for public transit, of course. We want to give accessibility to everyone, and also the cars, they must reach the destination, but not in a direct way. That's the only difference. They all can reach all the places, but in a difficult way. This is Avenida Meridiana Avenue. In the 60s, this is one of the main avenues of 50 meters wide in Barcelona. This is in Clot area. Clot area is next to Glorias, next to Westerdapla and the city center. You can count here 12 car lanes and the bridge to cross this street. You can see this image right now. Right now, there are 2 car lanes, and then 2 bus lanes and a bike lane, and a big space dedicated to pedestrians and to greenery. This is the change we are looking for, and this is the change we should get in all the streets in the city. Of course, we are not still in this point, but at least in some of the big avenues, we are doing this change. And this is one other street in Champlain, 20 meters wide. During the pandemic, there was this intervention already, and now it looks like this. This is a new Ramblas, a new green corridor that is connecting 4 kilometers in the city. And the plan was to do this in 21 corridors, but for the moment, because of the political changes, it has stopped. But we hope it will continue, of course. So about the potential, Spanish population using the bike, more than 50% of the Spanish population are using the bike in a not a daily, but weekly basis. And more than 90% of population, they know how to ride a bike. So there's a huge potential also because we know, thanks to open data, that most of the commuting trips are up to 10 kilometers in the metropolitan areas, not only in the small towns, in the metropolitan area, up to 10 kilometers. This means 40 minutes by bike. This is perfect to cycle, but we need, of course, some things that we will talk now. What are the barriers, the danger, the traffic, the lack of facilities, and the limitations? These limitations that we can see here, they are in Spanish, but well, the climate, the being tired, the slope, the distance, they can be solved with an e-bike. So e-bike is really a clue for this. So what do we need to cycle properly? We need infrastructure. We need bike parking facilities. We need bike sharing services. We need communication and promotion. We need data culture. We need our politicians to take decisions with data, based on data, not just on perceptions. And we need regulations. I will go through each of these points very fast. Bike lanes can be on the right, on the left, bidirectional on a side, bidirectional on the central part of the road. They can be anywhere. But we need proper signs to protect us also as users. And we need that the traffic calm streets, we need that when we share the space with traffic, they really respect the speed. It's a question of respecting the speed. So in a street that like this one in Superblock in Sant Antoni, it's meant for 10 kilometers per hour. They should respect this speed. Also in this one, in the Superblock in Poblenou. And also when we share a space with pedestrians, we always need, as cyclists, we always need to protect them. We always need to give the priority to the pedestrians. That's something we should take always into account. And we will go later on. Our main problem is that we've got a lack of education on cycling culture. We need on-street bike parking. These are the spots in Barcelona. You could think we've got many spots, but they are not enough. Barcelona is such a big city with such a big demand of people in streets that we need much more facilities. The problem in Barcelona is that we still don't have a safe bike parking policy in place. We do have it in the metropolitan area, where we can find these BC boxes, for instance, these bike boxes for 14 bikes in this case. And we can also find these bigger boxes. In this one is in Gavà, next to the train station. And this is, we call it big. I know that in Denmark, this is not big, or in the Netherlands, but for us, 100 bike parks, it's big. I hope this will change in a short time. And what I think it's the key, and we still didn't start with this, well, just with this pilot in St. John de Despí, it's the ground floor facilities to park our bikes, because our bikes every time are bigger. We've got more cargo bikes, we've got e-bikes, and we need proper bike parking facilities indoors as well, not only on the street. What else? Bike sharing scheme. In Barcelona, I like to say that the bike sharing was really the huge revolution for the cycling, because the city really needed to implement bike lanes. Because after the first year of the bike sharing in Barcelona, we got around 100,000 of users. So that's in a city of 1.7 million inhabitants. So that's quite a lot. Now we've got 150,000 users, more than 7,000 bikes. More than half of them are e-bikes now. They started being just 2,000 e-bikes of the 7,000, but now more than 4,000 bikes are electric, because they are really, really, really popular. Everyone wants to use an e-bike, especially in Barcelona. You could think Barcelona is a flat city. It's not a flat city. Half of the city is flat, but half of the city is going up and down, of course. And we see that the uses of the e-bikes are really almost twice the use of the mechanic bikes. So e-bike is really has really a big potential in our city. And finally, now we've got the Metropolitan also bike sharing scheme. It's called Ambici. But for the moment, it's not the same system as the city of Barcelona, but we hope that by the end of the contracts in 2029, they will be together. As in Paris, they are able to do that. So I hope in Barcelona we do that. So of course, we need communication and promotion. We need to know where are the proper services of cycling. We need the public bodies to communicate where do they invest on cycling, no? And for instance, Barcelona City Council had specific profiles for Twitter and Instagram, other social media on cycling. And we need data. We need to count how many bikes are passing at each point. Especially, for instance, here you see Castelldefels. In Castelldefels, we've got a new mayor that wants to remove a bike lane. But maybe when he knows that there are like an average of 1,000 people cycling in this bike lane every day, maybe he could reconsider this action. But yeah, we need politicians to take decisions with data, not just perceptions. And finally, about regulations, we need local regulations and national regulations that are homogeneous. It's quite unbelievable, no, that it's so easy to drive a car everywhere in the world, but sometimes with riding a bike, we've got different regulations in a municipality and in the municipality next to it. So in the metropolitan area, we had this work to create these homogeneous regulations, at least. Okay, but we still got many challenges in Barcelona. I like to focus especially on 3 of them. One of them is infrastructure. We need more connectivity and better capacity. We need more connectivity because in all the streets that the speed is not limited to 30, we need bike lanes and segregated bike lane. Okay, we also need the metropolitan connections, and we also need safe bike parking in Barcelona city. About cycle logistics, we all know how the e-commerce is increasing everywhere in the world, and we need to push and pull policies to promote the cycle logistics. But it's not only about promoting, we also need to restrict the motorized logistics. And finally, but the most important, is the education to avoid conflicts. To avoid conflicts between bike e-scooters with pedestrians, especially with the motorized traffic. Motorized traffic should always protect and defend the bike and the e-scooters, and also among the users in bike lanes. And everything, in the end, it's a question of speed, because we all share the public space, so we all need to protect each other, and we all need to reduce the speed to prevent the crashes. Okay, just finally some pictures about infrastructure. Well, we know that this is a recent study about the use of the bike in the metropolitan area of Barcelona, and only 28% of people using the bike in the metropolitan area of Barcelona are female. And why is this? Well, because female are claiming for more bike lanes, and female are claiming for different for a better infrastructure that is not put in place yet. In Barcelona City, we developed this study with Collective.cis about to include the feminist perspective into the cycling mobility in Barcelona. And of course, what do the women ask for? For more segregated infrastructure. That's one of the bases. We are many different users in the bike lanes in Barcelona, with different speeds, different needs. Okay, and every time, as I told you, more and more cycle logistics and more cargo bikes also for families and for kids. So we need proper infrastructure, we need the proper conditions. And we also have this, I really love this initiative of cycling without age, and this is in Sadat in Catalonia. Recently, we had this publication of from the Bicyclists Association Club and a university in Catalonia to become, to reach bike-friendly infrastructure also with the different ages, because we want all people not only to cycle with these bikes, but also to cycle by themselves. And this is something very clear when you travel not to Denmark or to the Netherlands, that everyone can use the bike in a safe way. Okay, so we hope. I'm almost done with the time. Okay, this is what was planned. The Metropolitan Area of Barcelona planned the Bicivia, how to connect in a safe way all the municipalities. This was 550 kilometers. For the moment, it's almost 66% is already built, but we hope that by 2030 it's all connected, so the metropolitan area can really ride a bike in a safe way. Here are a few pictures of this network, and we need the political commitment at all levels, because this network belongs to the state, to the region, to the province, and to the municipalities. Okay, about cycle logistics, very fast. Urban deliveries, really, it's a big challenge in our cities. And with cycle logistics, we can do most of it, at least half of it. Okay, so there are many new actions in the city about cycle logistics, but we also need to protect the motorized traffic, not to prevent the motorized traffic in urban areas. And for instance, in Barcelona, in the low emission zone, delivery cars, delivery vans are still not prohibited. Okay, and the nice picture I show you about Consell de Cent, this is what we see one day, one working day at 1. It's completely full of vans along the street. Okay, and just finally, to finish, education, it's really, really important, because we need to share public space, as I told you. And we also, with pedestrians, we need to respect always the pedestrians, and we need to invest in education in primary and secondary school, education for cycling culture. Okay, this is all. This is the BC Bus that I told you that I'm the voluntary, and really start cycling with families. That's the best you could ever do. Thank you, Gil.
Sylvia,
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I wish we should have a full session with you and another full session with Marianne.
And thank you so much to Sylvia. I will talk about some of the same points, because it is, of course, part of what you can call the recipe for how to create a city for cycling. My presentation is called Normalizing Cycling, and I will share how can you get to that point. I already mentioned in the introduction my background in cycling policy and promotion of sustainable mobility in general in my own little company and through the Cycling Embassy of Denmark. And oh yes, I do cycle in heels because it's just so much easier than walking in them. That's a question I get often, so just started by answering that. And yes, normalizing cycling is the topic here, and I will talk about it based on Danish practice. And here you see a picture from an intersection in Copenhagen on a sunny day. And no, the sun doesn't always shine in Copenhagen. Today, for instance, it's horrible weather, but that doesn't mean that people stop cycling. This is Helle Thorning-Schmidt. She used to be our Prime Minister, and she posted this earlier today on Instagram that, there's no such thing as bad weather, we say in Denmark, just the wrong clothes. So the weather is not an argument for not cycling. You need to fix the challenges that comes along with either hot weather or cold weather or snow or rain, but we can do that. I just wanted, for those of you who don't know where little Denmark is, the arrow here points to Denmark. We are about 6 million people in Scandinavia, and Copenhagen is the capital. The capital region is about 1 million of the 6 million Danes, and the municipality of Copenhagen about 500,000. And the share of cycling is very different throughout Denmark. The bigger the city, the bigger the share of cycling. And for instance, for Copenhagen, 26% of all trips made in the city are with the bicycle, but 46% of commuting trips in Copenhagen are done by bicycle. And if you could point to 3 things that are the key ingredients in normalizing cycling, it is to make sure that people have the ability to ride a bicycle, the opportunity, and the motivation. And that is those 3 things that I will share examples of here today. When it comes to the ability to cycle, like Sílvia ended with talking about cycling training, because if you can't ride a bicycle, then that's a challenge. In Denmark, most parents, after we teach our children, how to walk, then it's about how to ride a bicycle. But it's also part of many kindergartens work, and also in the school system. And then the next thing is that you need to have a bicycle to ride. And also, like Sílvia mentioned, that bike sharing is a great way to provide people with the opportunity and the ability to ride a bicycle. But also make sure that there are many different types of bikes available, not just kind of racing bikes or mountain bikes, but it can be cargo bikes, or it can be what I call low entrance bikes. Some call them women's bikes, but they're not there for everybody. But different types of bikes that can be used for different kinds of people and different needs of people. Then also understanding that everybody doesn't feel the same about cycling. It's a spectrum from the strong and fearless to the no way. But understand that the majority are the interested but concerned. And Sílvia already mentioned it. Yes, women are, and research show that, more averse to risk than men in general. And when it comes to cycling, that means that women, and we are kind of smart that way, won't cycle if it's not safe. And Dr. Jan Gerard from Deakin University in Melbourne has said that women are like an indicator for how safe it is to ride in a city. You can count the share of women cycling, and you will get an indicator for how safe it is. And Denmark and the Netherlands, for instance, are some of the countries where we have 50% men and women cycling, and that is attributed to the high level of safe cycling infrastructure. So building safe cycling infrastructure is also a way to having more women cycling. So plan and include women in the work for normalizing cycling. And you can see here the numbers for Copenhagen, where 51% of the people cycling are women and 45% are men, and men ride cars 2.5 times more than women. So we definitely need more women cycling in other cities to reach these numbers. But the point is to make cycling safe and easy from anywhere to everywhere. And that means that not just on some specific routes, but that, of course, is a way to start. Rome wasn't built in one day, and you cannot build a city for cycling in one day, so you have to start. But you need a plan for a network that makes it that people are sure that they are not suddenly in a situation where it's very dangerous because infrastructure suddenly doesn't exist for cycling anymore. In Denmark, the design standard is unidirectional separated bike lanes, protected bike lanes, and we have sidewalks and a curb, and then the bicycle lane, and then a curb. And if there are parked cars, the parked cars are protecting the cyclists from the moving cars. And this situation also prevents dooring. We drive in the left side in Denmark in the cars, so the dooring happens on the left side of the car. It doesn't have to be curbs. There are many great ways to create protected bike lanes. This just happens to be the way that we do it in Denmark and in Copenhagen. But also there are other ways, and one is to lower the speed of cars and having traffic calming. Here it's an example from the more medieval part of town, where it's more narrow, and this is a so-called cycling street where cars are allowed, but they are guests, and cyclists have priority. But also connecting the suburbs with a bigger city is a way of having much more people commuting on bicycle. And in and around Copenhagen, in the whole Copenhagen greater region, there is now this huge network of cycling superhighways being built. I really don't like the English word cycling superhighways. In Denmark, it's basically called super bike lanes. The highway part gives connotations to cars, and it makes it about being really, really fast. It's more about being direct and it being safe. And so you can get there, of course, fast, but more importantly, direct. Most of the accidents that do happen with people on bikes are at intersections. So creating safe intersections is an important way of connecting the bike lanes to the safe network. In Denmark, it is a rule that you cannot, for a left turn, turn directly as cars do. You have to do a so-called hook turn or Copenhagen turn. I've also heard it referred to, where you first bike straight, then wait for green, and then bike straight again. That way, avoid conflicts with cars within the intersection. One of the most important or annoying things when cycling is having to stop for a red light at an intersection, because we have to use our own energy to get moving again. So creating a good flow through the city, for instance, through green waves that are adapted to the speed of the cyclist, is one way. Or it can be like in the city of Odense, they have rain sensors. in some of the bigger intersections. So like today, when it rains, cyclists have longer green time, or also in some intersections in Denmark, it is allowed when it's signed to turn right, even though the light is red. Of course, you have to watch for pedestrians, but that is a way of creating a better flow. Sylvia also mentioned bicycle parking. Super important, because every bicycle ride starts and ends with a parked bicycle. So really catering for that need, both to cater for the cyclist need to be sure that there's a place to park. It's also a way of feeling welcome in the city with your bicycle. But it's also a way of creating order in public space and making it nicer for the other people in that public space. And bicycle parking at public transport is really important here. We in Denmark really could learn something from the Dutch and the Netherlands, because they are doing world-class bicycle parking at stations. We still struggle with that. In the Copenhagen region, the commuter trains, the S trains, have for 10 years made it free to bring your bicycle. And it turned out to be a really good business case, because the number of passengers increased by 10%. So they made money by making it free to bring the bicycle. And they not only did they make it free, they only redesigned some of the wagons to really cater for and make sure that the design also made it less chaotic to enter and exit. And now also the buses in Copenhagen have made it possible to bring your bicycle on the bus, and that's quite new. Generally, feel welcome in public space by catering for different needs. It can be public bicycle air pumps, because a flat tire is super annoying when you're on a bicycle. It can be tilted garbage bins, so it's easier to get rid of the garbage, and it also means that the chance of garbage in the can is higher. We have a tendency as Danes to ride and eat or have coffee. It can also be a so-called footrests at intersections. If you have to stop for red, then it's nicer to kind of chill and hang. And there's the evaluations show good satisfaction from cyclists' side on that little design feature. But also, for instance, having so-called cyclist counters. Not only do they collect data 24/7, 350 days a year about the number of cyclists, but it is also a tool that promotes cycling and shows both cyclists that they count, but also show the car drivers that there are a lot of people cycling in this city. Shortcuts is a way of also making it both easier, but also more favorable to ride a bicycle instead of a car through the city. The city of Copenhagen has a lot of water with the harbor. And over the last couple of decades, they have built, I think it's now 12 bridges. And they are not just building a simple bridge that makes it possible to cross. They are also creating landmarks that shows again that cyclists count, but also really makes it fun and exciting. Because even though cycling infrastructure is less expensive than public transport or car infrastructure, it is not about having cheap solutions. Sílvia also mentioned promotion, and I will do again, because we need to promote riding a bicycle. There's still need to show that cycling can be for everybody, and we need image many different people cycling. It is not just for young males or older men in lycra. It is for everybody that feels that it's an opportunity for them, and we need to show that in our imagery. We need to target children so that they grow up with the bicycle as part of their lives, from playing with a bicycle on car-free areas to learning how to maneuver a bicycle, to learning about the rules, to working with workplaces and commuters, and because the commuting is a maybe not anymore, but it's a trip we do often, maybe not daily, but often, and that's important to get that good habit going. And yes, I also have a picture, Cycling Without Age, and this great organization was actually founded in Denmark, and their amazing motto is everybody has the right to wind in their hair. And I think it's very poetic and beautiful, and I think it's something that we need to remember, that cycling is not just transportation, it is also an experience, and it is something where we sense everything around us, we feel it, the rain, the sun, and the wind in our hair. And in a city where both the father can take 2 kids or the pregnant woman can cycle 9 months pregnant, the businessman can go by bike, or where you can have your very last ride in this world also on a bicycle, that's a place I would like to live. Thank you for that.
Now I want to end by a call to action. I want each one of you, we still have hundreds of people from all over the world connected. What is your call to action so that more and more cities and people of all ages and abilities ride? Provide an inspirational call to action for people to go out and do. What should they do with their elected officials, with the city staff, with their neighbors, with their children? Let's start. We started same as the presentation. Sílvia, tell us, and then Marianne, a call to action to the hundreds of people that are listening and are so grateful that the 2 of you stayed a little bit longer.
Okay, I would just say fight for your own street, fight for your neighborhood. This is the basic. And just do yourself what you want for the rest.
The short and direct, fight for your street. Unfortunately, we need to fight because we're not getting it. Thank you, Sílvia. Well, she's been an advocate for many, many years. And Marianne, what is your call to action to everybody?
Start with yourself. Start cycling. If you have kids, teach them, ride with them. Some of the best conversations I've had with my son, he's now turning 18, has been on a bicycle. Find the quiet areas and start there, and then start spreading the word and inspire others to do the same.
I love that. You know, some of the, you both of you showed images of the people, very old people riding on the bike, sitting up front on the basket. They have an amazing conversations with the volunteers that are pedaling, because they're not really seeing at each other. It's like you say with your children, when you are riding side by side, you are not really looking at the eye. So people have less resistance, they have the wind, they have, and maybe conversations flow evenly. Sílvia, keep up the great work, and Marianne as well. Have a wonderful evening, both of you.
Thank you, Gil. Thank you, everyone.
Marianne and Sílvia, oh, what an amazing presentations, both different perspectives, but one main theme, and I love the analogy of the Swiss knife. Cycling is so good that it improves so many things like a Swiss knife. It's good for mental health, for physical health, for the environment, for economic development, for happiness, and of course, for mobility. I love how you showed multiple examples and the importance to get along with other people. For example, Sylvia made a lot of impact on the relations between people riding bicycles and people walking. Walkers and cyclists have to be best friends. Also, people using public transit. And also how Marianne spoke about the importance of having education and also of having some guidelines, simple, that are easy to follow. I hope that everyone that watches this video, please share it, send the link to decision makers, elected officials, city staff, media, people in the media, activists, advocates. Share it with as many people as possible. That's what these webinars are for. And Marianne, Sylvia, thank you very much. And everyone else, I'll see you in 2 weeks, same time. Thank you.